Yo, what up, dogs? I watched White Man Can't Jump, the 2023 reimagining of the classic 1992 White Man Can't Jump, starring Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. And I have to say, I had no bar going into this movie, and I watched it. I thought the movie was an okay film. It's not as good as the original. It's not a bad, horrible movie. It's just an okay film. I was mildly entertained. I laughed a little bit. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I will definitely rewatch the original multiple times going on in the future, and I will someday own it and put it in my collection. But as always, I do feel bad whenever I think a movie is just okay, because I know there's a lot of people that worked on this film, put a lot of effort and hard work into it, and I'm just a dude on the internet trying to review movies, and honestly, I feel bad when it's an okay film every single time. But maybe you guys will enjoy it, and maybe you've watched it and enjoyed it. So leave a comment, tell me what you liked about this film. But until then, let's go on and chat about this movie. And I'm going to draw comparisons between the original and this one. So there might be some spoilers going forward, just in case. I'm going to keep it very light. Now let's get into it. I have a lot of notes here, so I'll try to get this short and sweet. So this movie is directed by Calmatic, and this is my first time ever watching a movie by him. And I have to say, for my introduction to his directorial style, I enjoyed his work. I think the only note I would have in this is I didn't like the basketball choreography. It didn't make me feel like the two actors were professional ballers or had any balling skill at all. They looked good in certain shots. I honestly thought they looked good. But when it came down to actually like running plays and stuff like that, I think the cinematography and basketball filming could have been a little bit better and just made it more entertaining to me, because the basketball in this movie is what's the driving force behind it all. So I just wanted better pickup plays and stuff like that, just better camera work for the overall basketball games. Now, our lead actors in this movie is Sinqua Walls, who plays Kamal, and he is the Sydney type character. And we have Jack Harlow, who plays Jeremy, who is the Billy Ho type character. And these two characters are both professional basketball players to a certain degree. Kamal was a professional high school basketball player who was on his way to greater things going into the collegiate level of basketball. But unfortunately, things happened in his life where he was arrested, and this little nugget is released throughout the story of him, and we learn more about why he got arrested. And then we have Jeremy, who is also a baller. I think he made it to the collegiate level, but when he got to that level, he tore both his ACLs, and he got more addicted to, at least we can believe that he got addicted to painkillers and alcohol, because of certain elements that happen in this movie as well, because he does buy drugs off of someone from the gym, and we do see him have a bender later on in the film. So we can see that that's how his career kind of tumbled and fell downwards. Now, both of these characters are struggling in the modern sense of they don't know where their life is going without basketball. Kamal works as a UPS driver. It's called VTX in this movie. And I don't know if that's a real thing or not in America. I don't know. So he's a VTX driver. He has his wife, very supportive wife, by the way, who is her name is Imani, who's played by Teyana Taylor, and they have a son together. They have an apartment, and she's trying to run a hair salon out of the apartment to make ends meet, you know. But life seems okay over there. The money in this movie doesn't seem to be a driving force as much as it is in the original one. It also feels like throughout this movie that Kamal is kind of running from demons, in a sense, from his past and things that happened with his father. As we learn, his father has MS, and it was not something that he knew growing up. And his father tried to keep him away from that disease so he could focus on basketball. But Kamal thinks he's a giant failure because he wasn't able to live up to what his father pushed him to be, a great basketball player. And now back to Jeremy. Jeremy is trying to become a baller, and he thinks he can still do it if he gets the money to get ACL surgery with stem cells. So that is his motivation to actually try and get money. Where Kamal's motivation for money isn't really necessarily there, but you think, like, Jeremy thinks money will make his life way better, and becoming a basketball player and being famous will make his life better for him and Tatiana. And realistically, Tatiana's like, stop lying to me. Just get a job and we can be happy together while I do my thing, because she's a dancer and she's trying to get her career going as a choreographer for music videos and stuff like that and concerts. So his whole thing is like chasing the dream of basketball. And I feel like Kamal's whole thing is like kind of trying to provide more for his family. You know what I'm saying? So that's their dynamic. And they both have their demons and that they're trying to vanquish them. And when we are introduced to Kamal, he's a very standoffish, kind of boorish type of character, like pig-headed. He thinks he's the greatest baller since sliced bread, but he's got the demons, right? And when we're introduced to Jeremy, we see him as, you know, a little hippy-dippy. He's got the kombucha. He's a basketball trainer. Like, he actually has some things on the go that would make sense if he focused on them. So he's training the youth to be better basketball players. He's trying to sell kombucha. But everybody that sees him looks at him as just like this hokey white boy. And he can't ball or anything, right? So then we get our first interaction with Jeremy and Kamal, which is the classic scene also in the original with Wesley Snipes. I'll call them Sydney and Billy Ho, where Billy Ho challenges him to a shootout, right? Whoever can sink the most basketballs will win money. And they do the same thing here. And this is where I'm just going to make a point in this whole film, that a lot of the jokes and content and banter between the black and white characters in this film are really dated, really stale, and actually not that funny. And I know they're trying to play up the similarities to the original, but the original is special in its own thing because the 90s basketball was totally different than where we are today in the 2023 era of basketball. Today's basketball is a very diverse NBA league, right? You have everybody playing globally nowadays. And back in the 90s, it was, I would say, a very more black-dominated sport back then, with the odd, really well played white player, right? I think of John Stockton at the time, and before that would be like Larry Bird. And then as you progress forward, you have like Steve Nash and stuff like that. So it wasn't very common back in the day to see like a really good white basketball player. So that whole dynamic works in the sense where Sydney doesn't want to play with a white boy because he thinks he's going to lose. No one thinks a white player can actually play. But when you fast forward to today, and they do mention it, even Jeremy says it as one of his lines where he's like, I'm surprised you didn't think I could shoot, because everyone knows that white people play, you know what I'm saying? And we're known for shooting and passing. Like, it's a known thing. Why would you challenge me like this? This is silly. And that is a key point in this thing, like of the dialogue, where it's like, yeah, this commentary that's going on here is so not modern. It's so passé. And we should be having more modern commentary on the state of race relations in the sense. And there should be better jokes here. We are in 2023. Where are the better jokes? So that's like one of my main critics. I think critiques of this film was just the dialogue and banter between them was so dated. And so just to go forward now, we do have this relationship brewing between the two characters. And it seems like they're more friends. Like, I wouldn't say friends. They become friends. But it's not the same kind of grifting relationship and hustling relationship that Sydney and Billy Ho have compared to these two. These two guys show up to the courts ready to play as a team. There's no interesting banter between, let's say, Kamal trash-talking any of the other basketball players on the court to lure them into the hustle, so to speak. And they do try this. Jeremy does do it once with the guy who wears a trash bag, and he insults him a little bit to play for actual money. It's like the first time they do it. But there's no like grift where he's like, oh, you could pick any player here or anything like that. He's just like, you want to play for $300? And it's like, yeah, okay. And then he goes over to Kamal and is like, let's go. We're going to play these guys for $300. And like, that's the grift. But like in the original, like I've already said it many, many times probably, is like Sydney shows up to the games, hustles, and like just smack talks the whole time. He's a great baller, smacks a lot of talk, and then the players are like, you get to play with that white boy. And he's like, hell no, I don't want to play with that boy. And then they play together and they dominate because they're hustling. And that is how the hustle works. Anyways, it doesn't play out like that at all in this movie. And their whole goal of hustling money together is to get into the first tournament. And they do that. And they get into the first tournament and they lose. And that is such an anticlimactic moment that they actually play together and lose. But the reason why they lose is because they're chasing their demons. Their demons come back to haunt them. And in Jeremy's case, the demon is his injuries that are preventing him to go forward. So he gets injured while he's playing, and they lose because of that also. And Kamal cannot make his shots because he's reliving imageries and memories from his high school days about the incident that got him arrested, which was a big fight, and he got kicked out of the game and he got arrested for it. So that causes him to miss his shots. So together, their demons come and haunt them and cause them to lose the big game, which is kind of lame because that game says, like, they put the rules out there where it's like, if you win this game, you get to go to the big game, which is for $500,000. But the whole point of hustling was to get into this game so they could win this game to get to the big game. But as we learn later on, that all they had to do was raise like $7,500 for the entry fee for the big game. So this little game actually means nothing when they could have just kept hustling, and they get the money too. Like it's I'm not going to spoil all the things for it, but they do get the money and stuff. But whatever. I'm going to make 2 points here. Because there's one good thing in this movie that I really liked. Okay. There's a good scene between Kamal and Benji. That's his dad, who's played by what's his name, Lance Reddick. Yeah, and they have a great scene in the hospital where Lance, his character Benji, is dying of MS, and he sits with his son in the hospital, and he like apologizes. It's a very heartfelt moment, and it's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, honestly, where his dad like. Kamal is like, I'm sorry for failing you. And his dad is like, Benji's like, no, dog, you didn't fail me. I failed you. I didn't give you the tools to get over these mental hurdles. I shouldn't have hid my disease from you, because if I didn't, you would have been able to have dealt with it better. And it's such a really good moment, man. Probably my favorite moment in the whole movie. I had a little tear well up. You know, I lost my dad recently, so I understand this like heartfelt moment of fatherhood and son. You don't see that much in movies. Anyways, a heartfelt moment between father and son. I loved it. It was a great scene. And I'm going to leave one more thing in here that really sucks. And I'm surprised they didn't do it. So in the original, you have the scene, which is why the movie's called White Man Can't Jump, right? Wesley Snipes tells Woody Harrelson, I don't know why I'm using the real names, to dunk the ball. He's like, you should have dunked the ball. And Woody's like, I can dunk the ball. I can dunk if I wanted. The layup's easier. And then later, after they win the tournament, Billy Ho's like, I will put all my money up so you can to dunk. I will dunk the ball. My money versus your money that I can dunk. Give me 3 tries. And they do the scene, and you know, Billy Ho can't dunk. He whiffs, and he has to give all the money to Sydney, right? And that's a big moment where he can't dunk the ball. And then at the end of that film, he dunks the ball to win the game, so to speak. And it's such a big moment where he's like, finally, the white man can jump, you know? And it's a good point. It's a good point in the damn movie. And in this movie, they never do it. And Jack Harlow's character, Jeremy, he does dunk once, which is at the big game, at the end of the game. He finally dunks the ball, but it means nothing. It doesn't mean a damn thing. They never built it up where it's actually about white man can't jump. You know what I'm saying? They don't build it. They just really rely off the brand name of the original that actually put in the groundwork of white man can't jump. Like they put it in that movie of the whole reason he can't dunk. You know what I'm saying? He can't do it, but he overcomes. And in this movie, they don't do it. And I feel like they missed it. I was so upset about it because, like, you see Jeremy dunk, and I was just like, yeah, it means nothing. Like, it meant absolutely nothing. Like, sure, the white boy can do it, you know what I'm saying? But it means nothing. It was such a throwaway moment. I don't know what else to say about this movie. Like that, I don't know what else to say about this movie. Honestly, I don't want to talk about the rest of it. It's like it's a movie, man. You'll enjoy some of it. You'll enjoy some of the basketball scenes were nice. There's a lot of throwbacks to the original. Like they go and play at Watts. They go play at the police officer's his gym, his where his rules are. They go and play. There's 3 locations. They play the Venice spot. And so there's some good callbacks to the original. I think the flamethrower scene makes no absolute, like, it was so silly in this movie, because in the original he's like, I'm gonna get my other gun, and that scene is hilarious in general. Like, the original is so much better. It's so much funnier and timeless, and there is some problematic things in the original, but whatever. We can talk about that movie another time if you want me to review that film. I could talk for hours about the original. It's so freaking good. And this one, it's missing some of the humor. It's missing some character stuff that really makes you want to get involved with this. I don't think Kamal is a really good trash talker in the sense of how Wesley Snipes was. And even Jeremy doesn't talk really good trash like Billy Ho does or Woody Harrelson does in the original too. They both really give it in the original. And these two guys over here are very more relaxed and laid back with the whole hustling side of thing and trash talking and stuff. In the end too of this movie, everything really wraps up nice, tight little bow, and it's a happy ending, you know what I'm saying? Everyone has their happy ending in the end. And you guys can watch the movie to see that. But aside from that, that's it for me, man. I'm good. This movie was okay. Like I said, I'm going to try and find the original and put it into my collection eventually. Aside from that, that's all I got. That's all I got for you. I'm going to go see Fast X next, and that review will come out. That'll be my next review. So anyways, I'm out. Hope you guys have a good week in whatever movie you're watching. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm out of here. Peace out. Bye.